All right, we're starting off to head to Water Level Road and down to Rockwood. I've got to go right through town to get started. I got to go up this hill. We're going to go to Eco 2 and trail. It should be okay. It's 9:49, so I'm almost an hour later than I wanted to start. But hopefully this is not going to be a hard day, since all those ups that I experienced when I was coming are now going to be downs. I shouldn't use as much battery, except right now. We're going to go to boost. Okay, there's the diamond. Okay, we're going back the same way we came. We'll go down here for a while. Here's the hospital. A great weekend. No biking, which was fine. Visiting with Delmas and Carol, and then at our reunion events, all the folks I went to school with 62 years ago. The group that graduated, first time we were all together in the same school, was in 5th grade. So 5th through 12th, we were a class. Nice brisk morning, perfect weather for riding my bike. Rained last night. It rained pretty hard in the evening, but apparently during the night, Carol said it rained. Even though there are dark clouds down there in the south, it doesn't call for rain today, last I checked anyway, so hopefully that's still the case. All right, Canal, what's this called? Canal Street. Water Level Road, this becomes the road that's not level. But hopefully there are more downs today than ups compared to the way it was on Friday when I got into Somerset. Well, I've got 3.4 miles to go, so I've gone about 4. And Water Level Road going south is much nicer than Water Level Road going north. There's still some ups, but it's not so bad. And the shoulder's not bad. Some places nice and wide as it is right here, and in other places it's a little narrow, but really like a bike path. The problem is that probably from the sanding during the summer or during the winter, there's a lot of places where there's gravel, and it's hard to ride on that, or scary to ride. Right here, there's no shoulder at all, really. In fact, the whole length here. Maybe we went into a new township. It wouldn't surprise me. Whoa. Woo! Scary. We are just outside of Rockwood now. Turns out it's taken me about as long to get down here as it took me to get up. But the ride has been significantly easier, even though there was one really grueling hill back there where I had to use boost 4, I think. But otherwise, not bad. So we're moving along here now on Eco 2, just down to 1. Time is 10:28. My battery is already down to 86. Started out at, I fully charged it, but it started out at 97. I guess it sitting lost a little bit. I should have tapped it up last night, but I didn't. But I think we're good. So once we get down to Rockwood, we've only got about 45, 46 miles to go to Cumberland, so that won't be bad. There's a road to Garrett. We'll pass Garrett, turn off on the trail down a ways. Welcome to Rockwood. Castleman River. Morning. On to the Gap Trail. The trip south begins. I forgot to reset my mileage, as I often do, so I just adjusted it so I'm at 0, but it was about 9.7 from Rockwood to here. I'll work from the distance from Rockwood. Beautiful morning, beautiful morning. As Delmas was saying this morning, it's unusual for August, because a lot of times into September, it's still gruelingly hot. It is 64 degrees. So now we're headed back to the Mason-Dixon line and back into Maryland. I'm sure you don't want to hear about my reunion, but it was a wonderful weekend, especially staying with the Hutzels. And the stories just kept coming between Delmas and me. Our experiences as little boys and as teenagers. So his wife, Carol, and I were classmates. He was a year behind us. And they dated in high school and got married in 1968, same year we did. Then they moved to California. Delmas had been in the Navy, and I guess he wasn't in the Navy then. And I didn't realize, you learn things that you didn't realize, that I always thought he was a typist in the Navy. Turns out he worked in a helicopter squadron. They did training for SEALs and so on for water rescues. This is Vietnam War time, so he trained a lot of guys. And I suspect at that time it was pretty much all guys. And the other thing is, I grew up in a 11-acre plot of land that my mother had bought. It had an old Conestoga Inn on it, an old tavern, because this was the way west. And along the road, there were a row of maple trees. And this area is known for maple syrup. They tap the maple trees and get the syrup out, or get the sugared water out and make maple syrup. And a man used to farm the land above our house, and in exchange for being able to farm it, he would tap our maple trees and give us maple syrup. So we always had cans and cans of maple syrup. And what I learned is that man was actually Delmas's uncle, and that land all around there used to be his grandfather's farm. So that was interesting. But when you lived in a little village, good times growing up. Okay, and then I was apprehensive for Friday night's event because I thought I hadn't been here for 62 years. Turns out I haven't been here for 47 years. I did come thanks to my wife's great memory and a picture I found amongst Carol's stuff. I was here in 1978. So I wasn't as delinquent as I thought I was. But I knew I wasn't going to recognize anybody. There was one person who hasn't changed one bit, looks exactly like he did in high school, Paul Tagg. He's an author, by the way. Check him out. T-A-G, writes thrillers. Used to be a meteorologist, a scientist with a naval meteorology group. I'm not sure what it was. Everybody wore name tags, so that made it a lot easier. It was a lot of fun. So that's it on the report for reunion. No more talk about the reunion. We're approaching the Salisbury Aqueduct. It's named after Salisbury, Pennsylvania. I've already seen it once in my other video, but I think it's such a spectacular view and ride, I'm going to record it again. So here we go, we're approaching it. The weather just keeps getting better and better. I'm sure we're in the 70s by now. Here we go. On your left. Howdy.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. Have a good ride. And that's a long train. So like I said before, this is Route 219. That's the Castleman, I assume. Castleman River. I assume that's what it is. No, those are just the frames that carry the container boxes. Huh, interesting. Now we got another road up here. Let's see what this one is. So we're getting close to Myersdale. Mile marker, I guess probably 32 or something like that. If it is 32, that's 32 miles to Cumberland. And I've got 67% of battery, so I've used 30% already. Wow, I didn't expect that. Going down from the Continental Divide, from then down into Frostburg, and eventually into Cumberland, I shouldn't need much battery. So right now I'm not using any. All right, that was the Salisbury Viaduct. Okay, we are approaching Myersdale. I'm showing 12.1 miles. I didn't think it was that far from Myersdale to Rockwood. Have a look at the mileage chart down here. So again, all things you've already seen. Okay, it's a little bit after 12:30. Just left Myersdale. Gonna stop here and have some lunch. Hutzel's let me pack a really nice and hearty lunch. So, we'll be back later. Finished my lunch and we're off again. Getting warm. Let's see, what is it? Well, it's only 68 degrees and a nice little breeze, but the sun is shining. A good sandwich. I'm glad I was able to have sandwiches for both days in both ways. And I'll keep the other sandwich I have for tomorrow. Flowery Creek. Not having to stop someplace for lunch is good. I mean, someplace to buy lunch. It's now 1:03. So really, we should certainly be there by 4. And if I'm correct about the descent after the Continental Divide, we might get there sooner. It should certainly be easier than coming up the Eastern Continental Divide as I did on Friday. Somewhere around mile 23 or so, that is 23 miles to Cumberland. Here we are coming up the other side of the Eastern Continental Divide, which divides watersheds. And there it is. I've noticed that, although I don't always trust my Garmin with its grade degree when they're low numbers, most of the way from Rockwood, it's been 0, -1, -2, -3. So clearly I'm going down. Now right now I'm going up, and I'm at a 3% grade to get to the little tunnel here. But this is now downhill, a glorious downhill. I have 51% battery. Afternoon. Good. You headed in that direction?
We're going down.
Oh, you're going down also. I'm looking forward to going down. All right, and we are going down. 0 grade, -1 grade. So I'm expecting -2 grade. Now, the next thing is the big Savage Tunnel. Then we've got the pawpaw. It's the pawpaw that you have to sort of walk through on the side of the canal. And the footing is not all that great. And again, I have this blue bag in front. I had to put it on its edge so I can get my lunchbox bag in there and my poncho in case of rain. And then it blocks my front light. But I do have this other battery operated light, so we'll use that one. And I've experimented with something else, and that is I'm in Eco 1. And even though it was kind of down, I was still having to use Eco 2, level 2, to keep myself at 12 miles an hour. And then I experimented with putting my derailleur gear from 6 up to 7, and now with the same cadence, I'm getting 12 and 13 miles per hour. So that's better, and no more strain on my legs. Plus, I think my legs might be getting a little stronger to be able to do that, because I don't know that a month or so ago I could have done that. So, riding as exercise is paying off. I don't know how far we are from the tunnel. Not very far, I don't think. But it's been a pleasant ride. It's really, I don't feel nervous about getting to the place in time. I'm pretty sure, even though it's 1:45, pretty comfortable that I'm going to get there certainly by 4 o'clock. And something I learned from the physical therapist, and we get massages occasionally, and from the masseuse that we go to, both of them suggested, you get numb hands. I just had carpal tunnel, so that's helped me a lot. That was about a month ago. But just holding your hands on a bar and pressing down on your hands tend to get numb. If you can take your hand off and twist it like this, or up and down like this, it's amazing. Within a minute or less, it relieves the numbness, and the numbness goes away. So I've been practicing that, and it's working. So kudos to my PT guys and the masseuse. So this is the tunnel they close in November to protect the inside from the elements. I think that's the reasoning. Quite a door. Okay, this is the one I think where lights pop on. The lights are just on, but it's difficult to see. Pennsylvania Mountains. Howdy, how y'all doing? Good. Okay, we're approaching the Pennsylvania-Maryland line, the Mason-Dixon line. It's 68 degrees and there's a bit of a breeze, and it's actually a bit chilly. It's really overcast, but it's great weather for what I'm doing. Okay, so here we are in Maryland. I'm on the downhill into Cumberland, about 19 miles to go. And this is repayment for my pain on Friday morning. I'm averaging something like 15 miles an hour, not well averaging, but 14 miles an hour maybe averaging, coming down into Cumberland Gap. It is glorious. It's also chilly, so I put my jacket back on. It's still only around 68, 69 degrees. It is certainly a welcome relief. And it's only, well, what time is it? 2:46, almost 3, so I should definitely be in Cumberland by 4, if not before. We've got a mile post coming up here. What does it say? Mile post 16, so 16 miles into Cumberland. And here we are at the Frostburg trailhead. We're just passing through. They have a charging station, I think. Yeah, they've got charging stations, really nice. With this combination of, right now, I'm not using any power, and I'm in gear 7. Tells me it's a 0 grade, but it feels like I'm going down. It's certainly not hard to pedal, and I'm going 15 miles an hour. But my combination of my derailleur gear of 7 and Eco 1 is giving me, pretty constant mileage per hour of 14 and 15. It's great. Probably going to spoil me now. Tomorrow I'll have a 62-mile day, but at least it'll be flat. That's pretty much it until we get to Cumberland, I think. And we find the hotel. I'm staying in a Ramada tonight, which will have its bathroom in the room and hopefully a little refrigerator so I can keep my sandwich cold. About 1.5 miles out of Cumberland. Look at those rocks on the left-hand side there and that cliff. Wow. Yeah, that train that carries, or those cars that carry people down, must go down that path there, or that track there, where they disembark. And Chris Hutzel was telling me that he and a group of people came on it, and they're 2-seater cars and 4-seater cars. You pedal, or I guess when it's downhill you don't have to pedal, and then they bus you back up to Frostburg, where it starts, or near Frostburg. Body of water in there. It must get high sometimes because they've got like a flood walls on it. Maybe when the snow melts from the mountains or heavy rains. Okay, we have a stop sign here. I guess we're going onto the street. Okay, no, we're just going across this section here. We just cut this grass. So we want to go down this way. Okay. All right, now what happens? Aha, I see. Hi. Cumberland. So this must be where these cars are. Huh. Kensington. I wonder if that's a retirement home. Baltimore Street is in front of us. Is this Canal Street? Am I on Canal Street? I think I am. Okay, so this is where we were the other day. Yeah. C&O. Here we are on Canal Place. Time is 4:07, so I was hoping to be here by 4. I'm close. And we've come 45.5 miles so far and 3 hours and 30 minutes of riding time. There's the Ramada. Huh.